Hello and yay to a new episode of Shittywebcomics Weekly. As usual, these episodes are brought to you by our wonderful, funderful backers on Subscribestar, linked in the description below, where you can get access to a ton of our super duper secret videos that you are not allowed to watch anywhere else. And if you want to suggest a webcomic or ask a question, check out our Curious Cat, also linked below. This is starting off again with Sinfest because we said we would catch up with it since last week was all about something. I don't know. I don't even keep up with our own shit.
It was good to leave off with it. It was good to not bother with it for a while because
Because
I
you want to
don't.
be able to come back and have some stuff caught up. It looks like a bunch of ridiculous shit is like fucking Tetsuya's been spiraling gradually, and I wanted a bunch of built up spiraling. So we technically have like two Sunday strips to cover. This one's kind of this first one's irrelevant from May 9th, so it's going back a while now. But the happy cute angel kid is like on fucking fire here, and then the
Got lit
Bible's
on
on
fire.
fire.
Just got lit on fire.
But the Bible's also it's printed backwards, like Xenotype. One of the many ways the Bible is like Xenotype.
Or the cross is upside down.
It could be upside down, yeah.
It would be the Petrine cross.
Um, which is on the Pope's chair. I mean, who gives a shit? But
You fucking kill yourself, loser demon.
goddamn demons. Anyways, the rest of the
Fucking
panels
demons.
are this
They're
girl,
demons.
cute tomboy drags away angel kid, and then cute tomboy continues to drag away angel kid, and then cute tomboy is still continuing to drag away
Continuing to be a
angel
cute
kid.
tomboy, but she also might be like southern redneck, southern girls make do.
Almost backwards MAGA hat, possibly.
Yes. A reverse MAGA hat.
So I'm not even sure what she represents or why, or because isn't this place is like this place is either America or it's the demon land where all the demons live, and there's sex and demonology and fucking all this goofy ass bullshit. Because that was another thing about Sinfest is it would regularly be taking place in a bunch of different settings that were never established. So they'd be in this one place, but then the rest of the comics not taking place there. But they would constantly be interacting, so you couldn't really tell. The next like daily strip is just people are attacking. This is so fucking goblins. It's so fucking like when Control Alt Delete went fucking loss and that kind of shit, where it's like now it's telling a story. So yeah, it's people are smashing shit, and I declare the spot the woke autonomous place. WAP. Oh shit, it's still a joke. Not really. It's a reference. Yeah. Revolt Cola. Get it? Like not Volt Cola, which doesn't exist anymore. Uh, so back to the jail where the Calvin ripoff is like, what are we building? It's like disinformation superhighway, which the information superhighway is what they used to call the internet back in the like mid '90s. I remember that like the only place to really mention it was either the news or that one MST3K episode. I think Starfighters was the one where they got a computer and they want to go on the information superhighway, and he's fucking Crow spends the entire episode on tech support, on hold with tech support. Anyways, here's always the fucking like the Matrix sunglasses, whatever, which is like we used to make fun of as the swallow the red sunglasses from They Live. But she puts on the glasses, and the news turns into the evil, specifically the evil clown from It, and it says, as above his name says, "Welcome to Clown World." Whoa, this guy's getting edgy. This guy's getting really topical and current, isn't he? especially because of it references. And then there's like, here's a joke about pronoun. What are your pronouns? It's like, way to be like fucking, really 2014.
Exactly. This is so warmed over.
Yeah.
Fucking
Again,
damn.
reminder: all these strips are from 2021. They're from the last week. So here's May 16th, 2021. So catching up to the latest, which this is all we were going to cover was just his Sunday strips, but all the other ones are so completely irrelevant and pointless because most of them weren't even jokes. But even if they were jokes based on shit from when Trump was still running for president the first time. It was very 2015, 2016 at the latest. But again, just more of, oh no, like everyone's just throwing Molotovs. Like they don't even have anything else. Bricks and Molotovs. Like there's no other representation that Tetsuya even knows of to portray like the revolution, which he used to be completely in favor of. The entire comic for the past 20 years was like, revolution, man, yeah, it's a good thing. Now it's happening is like, oh no, it's a bad thing. But again, all of this is criticizing Antifa from years ago. Now what's happening is an economic collapse where there's massive gas shortages and inflation going on right now. But Tatsuya is so behind the times that he's still like, oh no, Antifa is smashing up shops. It's like, yeah, they did that fucking.
There's also still a whole bunch of like Yas Queen Slay
Yeah.
white woman worshipping.
Well, yeah, here's fucking, oh no, they've reprogrammed the fembots to now be guards for the woke autonomous place, which again is like, you see how women are being, it's like none of this happens anything even remotely like real life. The fucking, women aren't being used as disposable guards. I would love it if that would be hilarious if women security for the autonomous zones and shit were just being mowed down or something, or in some way brainwashed. But this is all a metaphor for something that doesn't even exist and is not happening. And it's an attempt at a metaphor. It's not him telling his own unique story because he's not really capable of that. So yeah, that catches up with Sinfest. We were thinking of catching up with Dresden Kodak, but I don't think there's
we just
anything
caught
new.
up with Sinfest, but Sinfest still has yet to catch up with the modern day.
Yeah, exactly. Sinfest hasn't caught up with us.
It's
But
still like 6 years behind the
yeah,
times.
easily six. I think six is actually a very mathematically sound
You
description.
know,
Anyways,
you have a good point there.
you aren't very attractive. Um, Here's something else though we just found out is like we've been on with John Delarose a few times, and he's shown me some of his comics and like, oh, I'm making this steampunk comic, and it's like, wow, that's a really cutting current trend.
That's not a reason. That's not a comic.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not a
making a
comic to say, oh,
steampunk
it's about
comic.
steampunk.
You didn't describe what your
Yeah.
comic is.
What's it about? Well, it's about steampunk. Okay,
No,
so
it
it's not
isn't.
about anything then.
You want to maybe back up and try
Yeah,
again there?
steampunk is a visual a visual
It's
fad,
trope.
really. Um, a stylistic fad or a visual style, but yeah, it's not a fucking genre or a storytelling fucking frame or anything. Anyways, what I found out is that Arkhaven is trying to straight up pull a webtoon and publish like their own. It's weird because Arkhaven was the publisher site. It was like, here's all our books, our novels, and that kind of stuff for Throne of Bones and all of Teddy Spaghetti's goofy shit, and the other people who are under the Arkhaven umbrella or whatever the fuck. But now you go to arkhaven.com and it's just these web comics that they're putting out, and
Well,
here I'm
suddenly
looking at the front
webcomics
page right now
exist
though.
now. I guess
Um,
webcomics exist now.
yeah, I guess webcomics exist, but
I guess they know what
some
they
of them
are
are their
now.
printed comics, like the alt hero comics, and especially alt hero Citizen Q and that kind of shit. But
That is such a great example.
yeah, well, I'm looking at the front page right now. Great stories belong to the world. Sounds very globalist almost, but At the top, Big Bear's Big Comic, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, no, they did not make a fucking webcomic based on Owen Benjamin's daddy issues spiraling and mental breakdown. Uh, but yes, they did. And then also, Chuck Dixon presents War Stories, and I noticed all the credits here are like popular. The Hammer of Freedom by Luciano Cunha, Midnight's War by Vox Day, Throne of Bones by Vox Day, Alt Hero by Vox Day. Wow, the
Which
popular
isn't
ones
his.
are all by Vox Day.
Who's this Vox Day? Because I'm pretty sure that's not a real name.
Well, Teddy Spaghetti is actually his real name. Anyways, like the latest, Gun by Will Callaghan, The Cosmic Warrior. I'm pretty sure this was the Christian lightsaber, literally Christian Star Wars or some shit, by John Delarose. Big Bear's comic by Anonymous, which is probably a good call. But every time they credit Chuck Dixon, it's not Chuck Dixon, it's the legend Chuck Dixon, which makes it sound like you're trying too hard to sell his credibility.
They're trying
Which,
to suck his dick through the internet.
yeah, but at the same time, it kind of reduces his credibility that you have to introduce him as the legend, because if he was really a legend, all you'd really need to do is say Chuck Dixon. And I know who Chuck Dixon is. I'm familiar with him. He's the guy who wrote the stories for the original Bane comics and all that stuff. The thing is, Chuck Dixon is completely capable of phoning it in. He's I think the most prolific. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records, I think, for writing the most comic books in history. And the thing is, he did that by basically writing two or three, maybe sometimes even four different comic books a month for the since maybe the late '80s, maybe the entire '80s. I don't know. But he just he's kind of a regular workhorse, but that usually means that not every one of his comics is going to be good. That doesn't mean that these ones are bad, even, but it doesn't mean that that everything he made, like fucking when I think of a legend, I think really more of like Frank Miller or Alan Moore, who took some huge chances and made some really revolutionary shit. Chuck Dixon is a famous and kind of deservedly famous writer, but legend is like one of those things where you're trying too hard to hype someone up, and it just kind of, it's a little sad. But anyways, there's a bunch of comics, and here's also Alt Hero Q, which let me just read the pitch for Alt Hero Q before I go back to Big Bear's Adventures. Alt Hero Q, when federal agent Roland Dane, great name by the way, is sent to Peru to escort a U.S. cabinet member. Because when I think of QAnon, I think of Peru in South America. To escort a U.S.
federal
cabinet
agents.
member.
I definitely think of federal agents.
Federal,
maybe even
yes,
ones that
I
glow in the
absolutely
dark.
think of federal plants and that kind of thing.
I definitely think of glowing in the dark.
Yeah, some
driving
things that
a
take
car.
place in the dark, like glowing, perhaps. I have to say also, there's something a bit kind of sussy about the amount of like hearts and views that these have. I don't know. They kind of look like planted numbers to me. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but it looks like they just fucking because in Arkhaven they own this site. They could just make as many views and likes for their own comics as
I'm
they
not going to
want.
stake my credibility on it, but at the same time, it's like,
Well, I might.
how hard would it be to fake that?
Yeah, exactly. Just to a start, to say like, hey, we already got like this many thousands of views and likes on this comic that's just gone up. Because I think most of this is pretty recent. It's I would say if this is like 3 episodes of this so far, that implies about 3 weeks. So yeah, I don't know. I know Vox Day does have a following, but again, it's very easy to just, if you own the site, to just manufacture your own. I mean, YouTube does that. If YouTube can do that, so can Teddy, Mr. Pasta.
Theodore Spaghetti.
Anyways, when Roland Dane is sent to Peru to escort a U.S. cabinet member, where, why, I don't know. He has no
Peru?
reason to believe.
Why are they in Peru? Do they buy a lot of lobster in Peru?
There's apparently it was part of a very interesting and intricate top secret mission to restore America's limes. They
Yeah.
wanted to import some palm trees, I believe, something like that.
So yeah, what is any of this part of the story
There's a
in the actual
serious
comic?
lime shortage. It takes place in an alternate universe where there's a detrimental lime shortage in the United States.
Very important part of the plot.
Yes.
You need to understand that.
To be
So
honest,
suspend your disbelief for a
well, I
moment.
don't necessarily have to suspend my disbelief. Here's the thing: if that was actually true, if that's what this comic was about, I'd probably actually unironically like it. I'd be like, you know what, this is great. They're sending secret agents to get limes. It's like, yes, fucking, we'll be able to make all sorts of things, lime juice and fucking, uh,
But yeah, again, it was like what
Mountain
was the
Dew will be
fucking previous
restored.
one? Or yeah, it was we were the video has yet to go up, but it was like the all the shit about the Jawbreakers, or not the Jawbreakers backstory, or was it?
Oh,
It was the fucking Jawbreakers backstory, and it's
yeah, it
like
was the
the new
Jawbreakers
Dr.
backstory
Pig.
pitch that was on the Kickstarter, the original Jawbreakers comic from 2015, the original Kickstarter campaign from like 2015 or 2014, where it had all this backstory that none of it was even in the comic about how like in New York City, a bunch of cosmic gods come down and basically erase crime with their
Patrol,
mind powers,
they
so the
patrol the
Jawbreakers
street.
leave.
They patrol the streets of New York City. So the team known as the Jawbreakers goes to Africa to go and shoot warlords, and it's like one of these is more important than the other. Why is it being left to essentially the Z Squad?
Yeah, what the fuck is going on? Yeah,
The
it's
A-listers are going to patrol New York City, but the Z Squad is going to Africa.
Yeah, the I think they were called the Cosmics. The Cosmics coming down specifically to New York City to use their godly powers to literally erase crime and stop crime from happening. That sounds like a more interesting story, but the comic doesn't tell any of that story.
In fact,
Just the
the
fucking Kickstarter pitch
the
tells that story.
story
The comic has
literally
none of
sounds
that.
like a story that is about nothing other than the privilege of the elite, the coastal elites.
Yeah, it's
That
very.
is the actual story, but it doesn't even get so much as a blip on the radar in the actual comic. And I have to wonder about that in this too. It's okay, so where is the story about fucking we're
Limes.
guiding a fucking American dignitary around Peru. They can find outlets for their trade in Maine.
Yeah, fucking. They're
Fucking
importing some lobsters from
what does
Peru
a
and Maine.
senator from Maine have to do with Peru?
Yeah, what's going on there? But I guess nothing. Speaking of blip on the
No,
radar,
that doesn't even show up.
it doesn't even happen. They don't. They haven't found a way
It's
to.
not. In fact, it's not even necessary to know about.
They haven't found a way to turn Sprite or Mountain Dew into renewable fuels, requiring a giant influx of limes, sometimes even lemons, perhaps even limon. Anyways, he has no reason to believe his assignment is connected in any way to his treasure team's recent bust of a ring of amateur counterfeiters. But when the Secretary of State and his entourage is unexpectedly attacked, and the subsequent news, I'm already tuning out. I haven't even read your comic yet, and I'm tuning out. Um, Dane is forced to confront the shocking discovery that nothing in this world is what it appears to be. Alt Hero Q is an incendiary comic series, is it? Am I going to catch fire reading it? That explores the mysterious phenomenon of QAnon. For those who don't know, there is no mysterious phenomenon of QAnon. QAnon is like an internet grift that sells a bunch of gullible people on how.
Essentially, here, if you want to know anything about QAnon, for any of you who are not in the know, they said basically the day that Trump became president that within 2 weeks, Hillary Clinton was going to be in prison.
Two
That was
weeks.
a QAnon info drop.
Yeah,
That was what they proclaimed. She's going to be in prison in 2 weeks. So you already know just from hearing that, you now know who and what QAnon is.
yeah, a
They're essentially
complete
a
fraud.
grift movement.
Yeah,
They're
it's a
just
fraud that
liars who want to
it's
get
been
your money.
it's been selling hopium to fucking the right wing for money, basically. Like there's a lot of money in it, but there's in a way I think the original purpose of it was just to sort of sell the right wing on a lot of bullshit that was never going to happen. Like, it's always the whole joke about it now is, QAnon says in 2 weeks this is going to happen, and then after 2 weeks just say something else is going to happen in 2 weeks and keep people strung along. The thing is, they called it Q because, like, he has Q level security clearance, so he knows exactly what's going on, and then everything he said would happen, nothing happened. Like, even Alex Jones did that wonderful song about how he will not suffer the Q people anymore. It's a great song, of course, but also it's like, I want to see what Alex Jones actually had to say. But he had this meltdown where he was just screaming at some Q guy, and it's like, all of your bullshit never comes true and all that. And that's the legacy of Q. But Vox Day was completely on board with pushing and shilling this hoax of the whole QAnon thing. And turns out QAnon was like a set LARP that had a script, and it's like, here's how you would talk, here's like, double space after every sentence or some shit, and, claim something's going to happen in 2 weeks, just make something up, and like, here's the trip code you can use or whatever. I don't fucking know. I know the Revenge of the Cis guys mentioned that a few times, is that they were actually led on the people who would just go Q posting on Paul just to fuck with people, and people would straight up believe it. So that, again, that's part of the whole hoax of Q. And we will review this comic, but this will be in it'll be a Subscribe Star exclusive. And we're going to review a few other comics from the site just
if
for
you want to
Subscribe
hear
Star backers, and maybe as a backup
genius,
for in case we miss an episode.
Genius observations we made. You're going to have to donate.
Yeah, you will have to donate. Here's the thing, though. It will probably be in the $1 tier, and so all you gotta do is donate $1, and you'll be able to see some of these episodes that we'll be doing soon or in the near future. The episode we'll be doing today, though, about this, I absolutely wanted to cover the Big Bear's Big comic because it's like more insane than Owen Benjamin is. There's a comic about a web comic about a guy named Owen Benjamin who was like a well, really, if you want to know more about him, just look up the Porcelain Doc, Smarter Than the Average Bear. Porcelain spelled Porasali, whatever.
Porsalin.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I don't like spelling.
Anyways, the comic is about some of the fucking batshit things that Owen believes, but the first one is about how he kind of destroyed his career by not entirely through his fault. He was canceled a few years ago because he criticized the trans movement and said, don't chop off your son's dick or whatever. The thing is, he's a stand-up comedian and, like, piano comedian. Like, he would sometimes do songs, but the songs were really, like, low IQ, repeat the chorus 20 times kind of songs. It was like, it's a funny thing, but it wasn't really that funny.
He wasn't that good of a piano player.
It was more like, I agree with this political view comedy. Clapter, I believe, is another way they call it.
Something that the Daily Show made famous.
Yes, the Daily Show pretty much invented it.
So it's definitely not something you want to copy unless you want to be made fun of.
The comic starts with like Owen Benjamin is sort of portrayed as Bluto, which is weird because they don't look anything alike. But so it starts off with, so I told him, hey, because you put your boy in a dress, that doesn't mean now he's a girl, ha ha. And then people are booing him and throwing stuff. Boys are girls too. And then, sorry, Big Bear, some sinister type of person rips up his contract. And
it's somebody with a very pronounced nose.
Yeah, a big, beautiful nose.
They look downright Mexican.
And then Big Bear, I guess, he's crying afterwards. Here's the thing is that, like, I guess this is actually representative of his stand-up because there's no joke. It's just statement. It's not even observation. It's just statement.
There's no humor. There's no way to even get humor out of this.
Yeah, which I mean, from what I vaguely remember from Owen's comedy, is he would at least try to make jokes, but a lot of it was observational in the most bare bones. Like, hey, I am saying a thing that I think, and that's it. And it would be something that you're supposed to laugh at because, again, for the Daily Show kind of reason, is like, don't you agree, huh? But it's like he's crying because of this, and it's like, wow, it kind of comes off looking like a pussy. Why would you willingly portray this? Unless the joke's on you, unless it's like you want readers to laugh at this faggot or something. I'm really not sure what the point of this is. It's very mysterious. Um, and then, oh no, the torches and all that shit. I think that's olive oil too there. And so they're chasing him. Then months later, like this is really straight up a retelling of his life story in the most generic sort of straw man presentation. So he go, yeah. What he did was he he acts like he was run out of Hollywood, but he kind of ran himself. Like he had he had a bit part on I think it was called Sullivan and Sons. It was like a TBS sitcom. And I think he was going to be married to Christina Ricci. And again, all that stuff fell apart when, all the political
He
when he
lost
was
his
doing the
damn
political
mind.
stuff. But like he wasn't even that good of an actor in the stuff he was in, so but he's saying stuff that people believe in, like they agree with. They're like, yeah, trans stuff bad, which is like, sure, fine, but if all you're saying about it is that, it's like it's not really that groundbreaking or interesting. I mean, the stuff that he says is interesting. We'll get into that in the next page. But again, he basically moved off to Washington to just buy his own property and fucking build like a really chintzy farm. And he acts like now he's a farmer and a carpenter and a constructor and that he builds all this stuff. But it's really, again, it's really flimsy. And this webcomic is to sort of lionize him and make it look like, yeah, he's a fucking regular hard worker. And then, oh, his son comes up and says, Dada works hard, and he's crying because it is happy. And that's it. That's the whole beginning of this comic. Again, there's no jokes. It's not even heartwarming. Even if you like agree with him, if you're a fan of his, it looks like it's trying too hard to portray him as a wrongfully maligned person who goes out and. But then that's not even what the comic's about. It's not about him going out to rediscover the importance of getting out in nature and traditional living. It's just oh, Big Bear, the like even the font here is just here though he sits by a fire. He's sitting by a campfire, which usually means he was drunk and like yelling at his fucking chat in a live stream. But instead, in this, to sort of rewrite the narrative of Owen, there's just a pop and arg interdimensional portal, and this is actually the funniest part because then it's this hilarious nerd of Vox Day sitting on his goofy chair, very cringe, you could say, and again, though he's all buffed out because it's Vox Day. He's like a Dark Lord. Well, Vox Day, look out, guys! Vox Day is welcome to Vox Day's dangerous mind.
The top half is very buff. The bottom half is so manlet.
Yeah, he's so fucking skipped leg day all the day. There was no leg days where I come from. There are no leg days.
He skipped leg life.
Yes. Fucking, he didn't skip a Barcelona life, though. Barcelona boomer life. But come with me, together we'll change the world. Yeah, I'm sure you will.
I don't remember that happening.
I don't remember that happening in real life. And then, of course, fucking straight up trace of the Predator fucking scene. And then the last panel is just Logos is rising, which it isn't. Logos is kind of the other version of the QAnon grift, where it's like, yeah, it's the truth, and then it's these people who are just fucking kind of batshit, and most of them are caught lying about really bizarre shit. Logos is supposed to mean like the word and the truth, but a lot of these people are just straight up liars, so it's really bizarre. Like Owen
So it's definitely
Benjamin
not
lied
rising.
about people trying to poison his children. That straight up never happened. And nobody called him out and said, you're lying about you poisoning your children. Except people who just didn't like him. Like his followers and his fans and Vox Day, of course, just kind of buried their heads in the sand, which kind of makes you look weak inherently. Not very logos, I guess. It's kind of gay. And then that's it. That's the end of this first episode. And then also on Arctoons, which is like, okay, whatever. And then the next episode is about Owen's, like, the spiraling Owen did about how the moon landing is fake, that not only lost him a bunch of fans, but apparently, like, it lost him. Like, he's very, he's all about the traditional, family life and that kind of shit. This got even his family to turn against him. Like, he got kicked out of a fucking Christmas dinner with his family because he wouldn't shut up about the moon landing being fake. Like, he couldn't fucking bottle it. The moon landing thing. He couldn't bottle that for one single Christmas dinner with his wife's family. Which is mental illness. That's straight up. To the point where I think even Owen is starting to backtrack on that. Not the moon landing being fake, but about how he fucked that up and how that was really his fault. But we were also hoping that there would be an upcoming episode about how his current spiral is about how the Holy Trinity doesn't exist. That he's a Christian, but that he doesn't believe in the Holy Trinity. And that got a lot of his own followers finally to turn against him, to the point where even a bunch of people who were supporting him, like fucking Milo Yiannopoulos, had to do an intervention with him on a live stream. And it's like, why? And it's like, after all the shit that Owen has gone completely insane about and lied about, after the Eric Nimmer shit, and about falsely claiming that people were trying to poison his children, and after him doxing people and all that shit, the thing that bothered people was he said the Holy Trinity isn't real. It's kind of a weird priority. But this comic is, again, this whole episode is basically saying the moon landing's fake. So it's like, the moon landing's fake, and there's references to Kubrick, because one of the conspiracy theories is that Kubrick directed it because
he did 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Because of the 2001 Space Odyssey,
which is basically a massive reach. It's a reachy reach.
Yeah, and again, it's just like goofy pratfalls, and fucking he gets hit with a golf
There's
ball,
no joke, but there's also no
rum.
attempt at an argument.
Yeah, it's not a point. It's just like it ends with reference, and it's just like just silly dumb shit. And again, doesn't make a point. It doesn't say how or why the moon landing's supposed
really
to
bad.
be fake. It's not funny about how the moon landing's fake. It's kind of bizarre and head scratching and mentally ill to a degree. Here's the last one, which it would almost make me laugh because it's Owen. This is part of Owen's spiral where he went against all of his former friends, including Steven Crowder, because he used to be a writer for Crowder, which explains a lot because Crowder is not funny either. But the thing is, how much of that can you really blame on Owen Benjamin? I don't know. I prefer not to. But I guess out in the cornfield, oh, gee, Mr. Beck, I'm really tired. Could I take a break from... I don't know what he's doing here, or what he's supposed to be doing, but this is, some kind of... It's a really limp-wristed fucking slap against
completely
Glenn
missing
Beck.
It's completely missing a setup. Whoever wrote this doesn't know how to actually structure a joke.
Yeah. But yeah, so Glenn Beck is fucking... he's making him dance and fucking making him dress in drag. And it's like, this was the kind of comedy you were supporting, though, before you signed up with Glenn Beck, right? And then the last thing is just, have you tried DMT with Joe Rogan? More like Toe Rogan. And that's it. It's like, again, it's just references. And the thing is, none of this is new. It's not like, oh, shit, a new take on fucking Joe Rogan. It's like, who cares? And I'm sure they'll try to push this as memes to be like, look, we're going after Joe Rogan, but that's old now. Nobody really cares about how Joe Rogan's like drug obsessed. The whole observation on that is completely played out. because people realized it is true that there's not really a whole hell of a lot to Joe Rogan, but the thing is that Owen used to worship guys like Joe Rogan and Crowder and say that they're the best people and that Crowder's a man of God, and all it took was like some very straightforward, like quick trolling, and all of a sudden Owen went from Steven Crowder's my friend and a man of God to Steven Crowder is a sodomite, homosexual faggot and all this stuff. So no one really flip flops like fucking Owen Benjamin. Nobody's more inconsistent with their morals and beliefs than Owen Benjamin.
I mean, he was also
that's what
drinking
this comic
turpentine.
is trying to get back at people that he used to idolize out of bitterness, not even out of fucking having anything interesting to say about them. Anyways, that kind of wraps that up for today, this week's episode. Again, we plan to cover a lot more Arkhaven comics, at least as backups. Like, in case we miss a week, we'll have, like, some fucking pre-recorded episode of an Arkhaven comic or something, because I am curious about how fucking bizarre these are. Like, the Alt Hero Q one, I legitimately
I mean, as you can
read.
already see from just this, we just showed it. It's a complete disaster.
Yeah, it's an abject train wreck. Like, I would never put Big Bear's big comic on the top of the fucking website because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassingly bad. It's
I won't
like
put it up at all.
Webcomic.
If somebody suggested this and was like, "Here, make this a comic," I'd be like, "No, go back and actually finish the work."
Yeah,
you clearly didn't
put
try.
in a joke or something.
You didn't try. Go back and actually try.
Yes. Consider trying. Have you considered trying? Because yeah, these were all just references to things that.
Also, why does he look like Bluto?
About.
Why is he drawn to look like Bluto? He
Yeah,
looks nothing like that. You wouldn't even know that it was supposed to be Owen Benjamin based on the drawing.
Yeah, because there's no mention of Owen. It just looks like an insane fucking delusional loser. If that's what the comic's supposed to be about. But it's the one of the least self-aware comics. When I say sub-webcomic tier, I mean the bottom of webcomics. Because, of course, there's good webcomics. I mean, fucking One Punch Man was a webcomic. This is nowhere near even, like, halfway or a fucking tenth of a way.
The original One Punch Man webcomic blows this shit out of the water.
Yeah, here's the thing. One Punch Man actually had jokes. Fucking Big Bear's big comic, it's like they forgot to tell a joke, you could say. Perhaps a duck might even say that. But again, I would almost want to keep up with this because it is fucking completely batshit insane. The fact that Vox Day would even put this on the website shows that he is out to lunch himself. And it kind of drags down everyone else involved, like Chuck Dixon even. I'd say it drags down people like Vox Day or John Del Rose, but I don't know. Maybe kind of a lateral move, to be honest.
Yeah, it's impossible to drag them down further.
Yeah, but anyways, if you want to see more reviews of some more of these comics, you'll be able to get them exclusively at our Subscribe Star. We'll wrap up with the plug of the week, which is another guy that you sort of introduced me to. He did a comic called Living with Hipster Girl and Gamer Girl. Or was it Gamer Girl and Hipster Girl? Actually, well, if I click this... Oh, I think the fucking... Oh, no. Living with Hipster Girl and Gamer Girl. In English, because he does these in Spanish, too. But, I follow him on Twitter.
Brazilian Portuguese.
Oh, yeah. So it would actually be Portuguese, yeah.
What the fuck is the difference? I don't fucking know. Same thing. They're both Mexican. They're both Mexican.
Mexicans. But anyways, I like this guy's comics though.
Yeah, they're really good. Let's not trash the guy.
Yeah, this one's from a few days ago. I liked it because it's like they're watching Demolition Man.
First off, they're watching Demolition Man.
Yeah,
so that's an immediate success.
And the chick says, I think this specifically hipster girl says, "Could you imagine a world like this movie where your opinion is so infantilized and repressed? They have to think twice before expressing yourself for the fear of being censored and punished. Living there must be a pain in the ass." And then your comment goes against our community standards. You're suspended for 30 days. You know, that kind of thing.
All the references to the movie that people don't actually often acknowledge. which is the fucking, it's like the swear jar or whatever.
Yeah,
It's a
essentially, free
machine.
speech had been straight up outlawed because if you swear, you get fined money, and it's like that's
There's
essentially
something
criminalizing
always
speech.
listening to you
Yeah,
that will fucking then charge you money.
yeah, it's so many levels of dystopian utopia because it's presented as this perfect clean world, but the dystopian aspects. I mean, fucking Taco Bell is all of the restaurants now.
That's actually one of the things, although, is spicy food is outlawed, but Taco Bell is the only franchise to win the franchise wars, and it's like, how does that even work?
Yeah, it sounds like they made Taco. So it's like you might think, well, Taco Bell's good sometimes. Like, well, what if Taco Bell in this universe is very bad? Have you thought about that? But anyways, um, it's not only good reference, but like it's a joke that shows. Let's see, this is what a joke looks like. It shows specifically that the whole future of Demolition Man is basically already happened. Um, and
It was
in a way, good
never
joke.
supposed to happen.
So I would say, yeah, let's see, at real Jago, what it's spelled
Don't ask
JAGODIBUJA.
me how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
But here it is on the screen if you want to follow him. He does good stuff. He does good fan art and that kind of stuff. Whoa, wait a second. Can I even click on this? I don't know. But we'll just leave off on that. That's the good comic of the week. We don't have a plug of the week. Usually I would, but I wanted to focus on this. I guess technically both of those are the plug of the week. But if you want us to plug your comic, go to the subscribe or not the subscribe star. Go to the Curious Cat, and you can suggest your comic. We won't read it. We won't recommend it. We'll just plug it. Um, so spread the word to the inferior normie cattle that you consort with that Shitty Webcomics is back and actually reviewing webcomics. Donate to our Subscribe Star to get access to tons of secret videos, including more webcomic reviews. And suggest a webcomic for us to review. Maybe yours, or a bad one, usually. But whatever it is, if you want us to trash a comic or whatever, you can suggest it on our Curious Cat. We'll consider checking it out. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.